Okay, I'm pretty sure you've been here. It's the set where every song is in the same exact key and the same tempo. It's the song that seems to drag on forever. And the song that you really loved when it was on the radio, but when you hear it in your worship team at church, let's just be honest, bores you to death. And if you've served in worship long enough, you've probably been in the band when it's happened. I've got some professional musician tips everybody in your band can use to engage with every song that you sing. And it's really easy, I promise. Hey there, I'm Kim Snyder, professional singer, professional vocal coach, voice whisperer, and creator of the Voice Club Method, a completely unique way to sing, the easy way. I've had to go through things as a human being and a singer that I literally wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But that's exactly the reason I know what I do. And the reason I've been able to help a lot of people. And I hope you too today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to ring that bell, ring that bell, ring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. So we've just completed our 10th move. With moving always comes the dreaded church shopping. I hate this. And for those of you who serve in worship and worship teams, you know that whenever you have to move and find a new church, it's an extra level of awkward. Because you hope to find a place to serve. And so you know that you're looking at things a little differently than you would if you were just visiting to attend. You want to make sure there's good teaching, people that get you and people you get. But for us musicians, it's tough, isn't it? When you go around and hear other worship teams, you just kind of get distracted into the work of it. By 16, I was a professional vocalist for hire, which meant I gigged in different bands. So people would call you, you'd had to know the 40 songs, you have to show up, be as good as everybody else, and sometimes they were fabulous. And so you're constantly, upping your game and learning new things because you got to hang with the people so you get more references for work, right? But I remember I was really in my maybe early 20s when I was at this one church. I had just come off of an entire really long set at this big event, like an alumni ball or something like that. And we were done at like 4 or 5 in the morning and went home, got like an hour of sleep, got up and off to church to do 3 services. And I'm there at the worship rehearsal, which, is technically not supposed to be Sunday, but let's just say it. How many of us have just rehearsed on Sunday? I'm just saying. And I did. I came to church and I fell right in line with the worship team. And I realized I hadn't gone through any of those songs. I told myself, I'm a singer. I know those songs. It's going to be all right. And I noticed that I'm stumbling through the songs and I'm trying to memorize them and figure out where I'm at on it while we're sound checking, basically. And I got really convicted that day. It completely changed everything I think about worship because the message in my head that day was, why can you learn 40 songs you don't even know and within 2 days have them performance ready so that you can impress other great musicians? And yet you can't take the time to take 6 songs that you've heard before and really make them ready. Your offering to give to me. That's a tough one. Since then, I've been really honored to be part of lots of worship teams and to be in worship leadership. Sometimes I come in as a paid vocalist, part of a paid musician band, and sometimes I'm there volunteering my time like everybody else. And there's something I noticed that I have in common with the other professional musicians that come in and sometimes serve and sometimes come in professionally. And that is, when we come in professionally, we're really good. And when we come in as volunteers, we're just as lazy as everybody else. And that's not okay. Now, I've learned some things as a musician that I'm hoping are going to make it really easy for you, regardless of if you are the newbie in your band and this is the first band you've ever been in, for you to stand up and do something that is going to make your worship set better. Okay? That's my goal today. It doesn't make a difference if you've never even been in an open mic night and you're in your worship team. It doesn't matter if you've ever worked as a musician. It really doesn't. Because you know really everything you need to make a song engaging in worship. First of all, I want you to think about a cover band. If you've ever gone to a concert of a cover band of some artist, there are several things that a good cover band has in common. First of all, they sound good because generally, if you have a band, they're good musicians. They've worked on their skill, they're tight, they know how to pull off the material. Secondly, they sound engaging because Well, honestly, they've kind of skipped to the front of the line and just copied everything that the really good writers and directors and arrangers have put into a song already. But if a cover band becomes renowned, it's because of those two things, plus the fact that they've put something of their own into it. They've added some unique touch, some little thing that has upped the ante just a little bit more. And that's why certain cover bands get a lot of work and other cover bands are just, it's another cover band. Now, they didn't even put in all the work they needed to make songs unique. They can just kind of capitalize off of what's already there. Could we do the same in worship? It's already on the album. We'll just play it like the MP3. Okay, don't get me started. The number of times someone says that and I go, no! Do we want to be a Christian cover band? A bad Christian cover band? And we think that the bar is to make it sound like the MP3? Now, back to you. Let's just pretend you have little to no experience in music outside of your worship band, in that kind of like a contemporary music kind of thing. Maybe you've been involved in school or a more classical kind of foundation, whatever. You were in a garage band in high school, but never really pursued it beyond that. A lot of people are there, and because they haven't gone where some people have gone with their music, they tend to think, who am I? I have nothing to give to this. I have nothing to say. I just wait for people to tell me what to do. But you couldn't be more wrong. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And even for those of you who may even be a gigging musician, maybe you're even a professional musician right now and still working in your church, either for pay or volunteering, I want you to know I have preaching to the choir and everything I'm going to tell you today. The thing is that regardless of your current level of skill and ability and experience and whatever, we all have lives. We all have jobs. We all have families. Life is crazy busy, and it's not going to slow down any too soon. So no, I'm not asking you to go to your nearest worship conference and spend hundreds of dollars studying whatever the new thing is out there. If your church will cover that and you can go or whatever, great, go ahead and take advantage of it. But that is not required for you to make a huge difference in your worship team this week. How can I be so confident you have the skills to do that kind of thing? Okay, you've listened to music before. Now, I'm going on a limb here, but if you've sung music or you've been in a worship team, I'm guessing you've listened to music before. Now, when I say music, I'm going to open our way up. Any kind of music, any kind of genre, whatever you like. You know what catches your ear and what is boring to you. You know the songs that seem to go on a little too long and you turn it and go to the next song, or you thumbs down on Pandora or Spotify like I do. I'm like, don't ever play that song for me. We get to be really, really picky now. And that means we've developed a skill to be really good at listening to what grabs our attention in music. So I can definitively say that as of this moment, you are a music connoisseur. Now let's revisit the cover band scenario. Like I said, those guys really get to cheat because the real work in making a song engaging and capturing your attention behind the scenes of those hit-breaking songs in all genres are writers, producers, and arrangers that work together and collaborate to do very specific things to songs to make them grab your attention. I spent, let's just call it over 2 decades in radio. And in programming radio music, there are a lot of things that we look for to know that people are going to listen to it on the radio. There are songs that you go through that you know aren't going to make it, thus the advent of the radio cut. Because radio stations said, look, people will shut it off if they don't like it. Unless labels give us music that meets certain criteria, we're not going to air it. It really did change the music industry because the stations were accountable to the people. The people got to decide. They were the music connoisseurs. They got to decide if they were going to listen or not, how long they were going to listen, when they were going to change the channel. So writers, arrangers, and producers started producing elements into songs and really having to work harder to put those things into songs so people would listen to them. You have been on the other end of that. You have been telling for decades, even though you don't know it, you have been telling radio stations, record labels, producers and arrangers, directors, you have been telling them what to do to keep your attention with music. And today, I'm going to tell you how to do 2 really powerful things to bring all of that great knowledge that you already have to make your worship set better. And they're coming up next. Real quick, I want to let you know about 2020. In this year, I'm bringing some free webinars and some classes, both for singers and worship singers. It's going to be some things that people don't talk about, but really, really should. And a lot of solutions like the one I'm about to give you. So if you want to know when we're doing them, not a lot of C's. So if you want to get on the free webinars, be a good idea for you to go to thevoiceclub.com/waitlist, all one word. And when you register there, not only will you get the first news, but also I've got a free gift that I worked on for you. It's called the Mega Mix Meltdown, Why the Mix is Not the Fix. Okay, so that should tell you enough to pique your interest, right? Okay, you can have it free. Just go to thevoiceclub.com/waitlist, register so that you get the first heads up, and then you can download that and see what you think about one thing no one is talking about when it comes to the mix. All right, are you ready for those action tips you can put into place to change even one boring song that's just driving you insane all the way through to every set that your worship team does? Good, let's go. Tool number 1 is actually the Voice Club's rule number 1, and that is sing the story, not the song. Now, if we, from the band all the way down to you personally, approach a song like it's somebody else's story, yeah, we've heard this story a gazillion times, blah, 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 why would anybody listen to you? Why would you stay awake through the song? How do you move from singing a song to singing the story? Well, it's honestly really easy. You just take these action steps. First you say, take one song, say, what is the story of the song? This is pretty easy. If it's a love song, I mean, boy meets girl, fall in love. When we get into worship, it's about Jesus and we love him and he loves us, right? Okay, that's just kind of the theme. It's not really the story. Read the lyrics top to bottom. You don't have to do the repeating parts because those are just, well, I'll go into that in a minute. But read through the basic lyrics of the song and say, what is the story about? Then say, what is the theme of the story, which should be really obvious in any song. Try to dial it down as much as you can, because the part that matters is to say, why does that theme of that story impact my life? Someone who passionately wants to tell that story, has something to share. Those are the people that connect with the people in the seats, that really make people hungry to know more about what you know about your relationship with God. Let's become those people and let's stay those people. It's always a really good idea when you think about the theme of the story, what is the story about, how has it impacted my life, to use pictures. All of us are really visually oriented. Our brain is looking for a visual cue. And it's a really powerful thing to say, I remember this story of somebody I know. I remember this time I went through in my life. When God did this, that reminds me of this song. And think about those pictures, put them into that song so that when you're singing that song, you remember that time. You remember that face of that person you were praying for that went through that thing. Whatever that song brings to your mind, when you pray through your worship music, God will bring that stuff to your mind for you. And just capture little pictures in your brain, because when we bring up those pictures, it changes our monotone face and tone to this, to wonder. It changes our face. And it is not the notes. That's why I'm a big believer. And yes, we should all be better, right? I still want to get better. We should all be better at what we do. We should all excel. But I would rather see your face tell me a story first. Because if your voice nails every single note and your face does not care, you tell me that is not worth caring about. That's why our face needs to wake up. We put those little memories, those pictures, the things that we're praying for right now, the things that we are seeing God do, how we're seeing him move, and what we anticipate in the future. When we put those pictures into those stories, or songs as we call them, that we do over and over and over and over, that song can change meaning. That story can change multiple times. Because I can tell you, I can sing, let's get an old one. Shout to the Lord, all the earth. I don't remember. See, it's an old one. Okay, so I remember the visual cues I had in my mind when I was singing that song when it was still popular. I remember my visual cues. But if I sing that song today, those pictures are going to be different, because I've walked with God longer. I've had more experiences with God. When I sing Shout to the Lord, it's a different story. It kind of makes me want to cry, so I'm not going to go there. But I'm really good at putting the visuals in there. And that's kind of the point, because when your brain runs the story, your face is the projector. And your voice is just trained to follow along. That's why we train the voice, so that it can project the story along with your face. So to be a good storyteller, we don't want a blank face. We want to be thinking about the story. It has to be personal. It has to mean something. But also, good storytellers have inflection in their voices. Not fake inflection like that. But a good storyteller is not a monotone speaker. It's the same way in a song. Some parts of that song, some parts of that story, same thing, are going to be more important. Some parts of the story are setups to a big payoff. Songs are generally written, if you think story-wise, not always, but if you can kind of follow along with the lyrics, you'll see this pattern kind of develop in worship music. The first verse will introduce information. The chorus is the theme of the song. Think of it that way. The second verse goes back, and it's kind of like an extension on where we started the story in verse 1. The story continues. Usually it gets more emotional. It gets more personal. And then when we revisit the chorus, we're pounding in the theme. We're saying, see, this is really what I meant. Now, this brings us to tool number 2, and we're kind of wrap it together. Tool number 1 is sing the story, not the song. And I've kind of given you a background for what a story means. It has to mean something to you personally. It has to engage your face. If you don't care about the message, nobody's going to care about it. Doesn't matter how good you are. Just saying, there are plenty of singers better than me and you and everybody else. There are better guitarists, there are better drummers. This is not what we attain to be the best whatever, fill in the blank on the team. What we want to be is the best person to tell our story. And you are the only person. I don't care if there are 15 better singers than you on your rotating worship teams. You are the only one that can tell your story. We can all sing the same song in the same key. We can sing it 18 times, 18 weeks in a row. Why we would, I don't know, but we could. And if we did, if you sing the song as your story, in 18 weeks, your life is going to change. In 18 weeks, you're going to be further in that drama of whatever's going on in your life that you're dealing with God on. You're going to be further along when you're praying with someone and you see what God is kind of doing in their life. That is all going to change. And in 18 weeks, the way that you sing that story is going to be a little bit different. Guess what? That means your face is going to be a little bit different, your inflection. And I'm going to tell you how that we take inflection, which we do easily in speech, and we put it into music. Tool number 1, sing the story, not the song. Tool number 2 is the rule of repeats. If it repeats, it should go somewhere. Don't ever, ever, ever repeat something in a song and do it the exact same way just because it's repeating. It's got to be your personal story. And you're going to do something different. I'm going to show you how easy it is. I'm going to give you the example of the song. I'm going to do a couple different things. I'll point them out probably along the way. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's just see. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some real concrete ways to put this in place for the songs that you're working on today, tomorrow, and forever, whatever worship brings. Okay, I'll just pick a key. We've got first verse. You are the Word at the beginning, one with God the Lord Most High. You've hidden glory in creation, now revealed in you are Christ. Okay, so what are they saying? They're saying, guess what? This is God. When I think of God, He was first. He was before everybody. He was the Alpha, Omega. He was everyone. Now, there are millions of ways that we can say that. But we're going to use these words, and we're going to put the picture in our head when we think of who God is. What comes to your mind? The moment you met God, last week when you spoke to Him, it's different all the time. How we think about God as we grow and we walk with Him, what do you think of first? When you have that, you're God. When you have that moment, what is that like to you? That should be what your face says and what your voice says. In verse 1, it's just saying, He's God. That's amazing. So for me, and this is going to be really unique to you, your voice, not even the arrangement of your song. The arrangement doesn't have to be any different. For me, this is an awe moment. I mean, I would think it would be for anyone, but who knows? And I would sing this a little bit quieter, and I'd be, you were the Word at the beginning. And for me, it would be a private moment. This would be like a private aha. One with God, the Lord Most High. I realized I think I went up a whole step. That was nice. Not. Your hidden glory in creation. When I think creation, I think green trees. I think little springy sprouts. It just visual stuff, right? Now revealed in you in Christ. our Christ. I don't think those are the lyrics I ever sang. Whatever. Okay, so to me, it's probably an eyes closed moment, although I'm guilty, as many singers are, of closing our eyes too much. We don't want to close our eyes too much because it literally closes out people. It makes them feel distant, like you're having a moment and they're not invited. So we don't want to do that too much. But man, you know what? This is part of the story. If I were telling it in words, in a group, I'd have an eyes closed moment. So I'm going to allow myself to have an eyes closed moments when I'm singing it. I'm just saying. And then we get to the chorus, which is the point of what made me think, oh God, what a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. Do I mean that? Or do I just say, what a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus. Looking at my kids in the front row. Christ our Lord. 4 kids. I've been there. I think I've done that in a song or two. Pretty sure I have. Okay, but it should be, what made me think of that? When I think of the name of Jesus, there are no words. So we use beautiful because we're limited, right? It's still, for me, it's still kind of soft. It's still kind of, it's awe-inspiring. It's reverential. And then we come back for the second verse. Now, the second verse is going to tell a little bit of my story. Every song is telling your story, not just a story. If you're thinking about the work that God has done in your life, it's your story. So let's see where it takes me in my story through these lyrics. You didn't want heaven without us. So Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. What could separate us now? Okay, so now we went from, wow, God, I don't even have words. Your name is so crazy great, into what God did. Now, if that isn't personal, ain't nothing personal in worship. What did he do? You didn't want heaven. Oh, heaven, you didn't want that unless I could be there. What? I mean, come on. But that's why you came down. You brought heaven down to me so that I wouldn't miss out on that. That's crazy. My sin was so great, so I don't even know how I got the invite. But your love was greater. What could separate us now? You're like, if I am this damaged and you would literally move heaven and earth for me, ain't no way. Ain't nothing could come between us. Now, when I go to sing that, and that is what I'm reflecting on, my part of that story, I get a little bit more intense, and I'm kind of an intense girl, so it kind of heads that way sometimes for me. It would be more like, the name of Jesus. We'll pick up there. You didn't want heaven without us. So Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. You'll see I'm closing my eyes too much. I would not do that in a worship set, but that's a good story to tell, you know what I'm saying? And then we get back to the chorus. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. And when I imagine this, we're going to sing this chorus again. Why are we singing the chorus again? Because it says verse, chorus, verse, chorus. No, we're singing the chorus again because it's the main theme. No, we're singing the chorus again because it has just grown. Every time we sing it, it takes on a new meaning and a bigger character. It moves, it changes, it becomes something new. The theme expands. It's kind of like if you could think of a camera on one of those little, little gimbals that move around, and they're looking at one little small little flower on the prairie, and then it kind of flies up over the hillside, and pretty soon you can see the horizon, and then there's the sky beyond it, and then there's these crazy clouds and this giant sun. That's the way a song should change. If we're going to go over something again, we need to see it from a new perspective. There has to be something new there. That does not just mean louder. It doesn't mean faster, because that will drive your drummer crazy, and if it doesn't, you need a new drummer. Just saying. But it should go somewhere. Now, when we think about monotone, let's go back to that. Monotone in speech, the way we get around monotone is inflection. The voice sounds excited because it is excited, and it goes wherever it naturally goes. Every voice is unique. Where that goes, nobody knows but you and God. And it's all right. It's supposed to be unique to you and to your voice. Your inflection shouldn't be any less unique than the way you sing every note. Did you know that? You should never try to copy someone else because you have been given an absolutely 100% unique set of vocal cords, no different than the unique parts of the rest of your body. God designed you with a unique set of vocal cords so that the brightness, the depth, the texture, the tone, the timbre, all the words that people want to use that describe the voice, all of those things are specifically unique to you. Now tell me he did that, but just wanted you to sing the chorus the same way every time. It doesn't make sense. So when we get back to, what a beautiful name it is, what a beautiful name it is, at that point, I imagine standing at that mountaintop and saying, this is too good not to share. Guys, beautiful name. You've got to check this out. I know you don't get it why I'm waving my arms and screaming on this mountaintop, but you got to see that I'm excited about something and you need to know. And at the same time, I imagine my soul just breaking into worship because it's the reality of the truth is so overwhelming. Because when we say something a second time as human beings, it's just in the process of soaking into our brain. And the brain starts just creating this little egg around this thought, and it grows and grows. Same thing should happen with our words when we sing worship music. It should go somewhere. All right, so now I've gotten myself into a key, which is not nice to go into the bridge, but I'll do it to myself because someone will do it to you. So why shouldn't I, right? Okay, we're going to the bridge. Now, most of us at this point now, I won't say most of us, some of us singers, good or not, regardless of how you think of your voice. By the way, I know a lot of singers that I think are really incredible that think they're awful. It's my mission to tell everybody you are not awful, even if you think you are. You just don't know what a unique gift you have. Oh, I gotta digress real quick. I was teaching a vocal boot camp at a church once. I have so many unique, wonderful memories from teaching at churches. There was a woman who came up to me at the end and said, I have wanted to worship. I have wanted to be in my worship team for so long, but I can't because I just feel like there are problems with my voice. And I feel like I would take away from what they're doing. We've got a good team. I don't want to take away. And I said, great, well, let's see what's going on. So I ran it through a little bit of an assessment. And she was sitting there, you know, she was doing good. She was giving me what I asked for, which is hard for people to do when they want to draw back because they feel like something's wrong with their voice or they're not good enough. She gave me everything I needed. And then I started smiling inside and I went, so she doesn't even know what she's got here. And so I ran it through. And so I started running her through and she didn't know until I told her at the end. I started running her through harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder assessments. I took her all over the place. And then when I got done, this is the fun part for what I do. When I get done, I get to go, well, now let's see what you did that you didn't know you could do. And I got to show her, you have a massive range. You have no weakness in the middle. You have beautiful tone from here to here. You didn't waver at all. When I asked your voice to do this, it did it. When I asked your voice to do that, you did it. I said, do you know that right this moment, you have a stronger, healthier, more capable voice than 80% of singers on all worship teams anywhere? And she was shocked. And I said, and you're not worshiping. So singer, you are better than you think you are. The problem is the misinformation we've been given for generations about what makes a good singer, how to sing better. All of that stuff is so backwards. I learned a very, very hard way. Just go watch the story. It's unbelievable. If I hadn't learned the hard way, I never would have thought any differently than everybody else thinks. You know, sit up straight, take a big breath. You know, I have to have natural talent and all these things. Just stop believing it. Just say, if God moved heaven and earth, because even knowing my sin, he wanted to know me and he wanted me to be there with him. And he took the time to create the most unique, completely different set of vocal cords for me than anyone else in the world. Don't you think he wants you to worship? Take what you've got, build on that. Don't hold back. All right, so we get back and we've got, what a beautiful name it is. It's Jesus Christ. Okay, so then we get to the bridge. Now, typically we all know that the bridge is where it explodes because it explodes in the bridge because we heard it on the MP3 or we heard it on Spotify or we heard it on Air 1, K-Love. My buddies used to work there, just saying. Love those folks. Okay, so yeah, it explodes, but why does it explode? Not because that's that part of the song. It's not even because it goes to the high notes that you're worrying you can't reach, or, you know, you have to scream your guts out. You're not gonna be able to talk for 2 hours, by the way. That shouldn't happen, and we should fix that. But when we get to the bridge, this is, I always imagine, this is where I think of Noah. When they were all mocking him, he's building the boat, and it starts to rain, and everybody's like, whoa, maybe it is going to rain. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it starts raising around him. And he's standing on top of the boat, and he's saying, come on, get on the boat. That's the bridge. It's the get on the boat moment, right? This is when you can say to everybody who is a believer, who has just been kind of like not letting it be the power it needs to be in their life, should be, right? It's for those who are really looking for something and have been looking God right in the face and not even knowing it. It's for them. It's for everybody within the sound of your voice, right? That for everybody, you get to say, get on the boat of what? Whatever the story is. This is why the story is important. The bridge isn't big just because you're standing on the helm of the boat. The bridge is big because it's your opportunity to take the theme of the song, to let them see how it has impacted your life, and then to basically have an urgent invitational. This is your chance to do that. Now in this song, the story goes like this. It says, you have no rival, you have no equal. Now and forever our God reigns. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. Now, we've been talking about his name from the beginning. We said, man, you're God. And then in the chorus, we said, I just don't have a word for that. Beautiful. It's the best I can do. It's a beautiful name. And then in the second verse, we said, not only is it a beautiful name, but I can't believe that somebody like you, with a name that I don't even have a word for, would take the time to make heaven for me. There is nothing. It's this awareness. There is nothing that can get between me and God. I tried to screw it up. If I couldn't do it, nobody could. And then we said again, oh, everybody, it's crazy. It's a beautiful name. It's because of who he is. And now we get to the bridge and we say, there is nothing else. Get on the boat. So let's go from the chorus and go into the bridge. And I'll leave myself in this awful key because I did it to myself and someone else will do it to you. I know better. I shouldn't have done it, but it's going to happen to you. So why shouldn't I take one for the team? The name of Jesus Christ, my King. You have no rival. You have no equal. Now, I tend to put little trills in there. You don't have to. It really doesn't matter. That's how I do my story. You do you. I do me, right? But when I say it, for me, words get big and crunchy when I really mean it because I got a big mouth, right? You have no equal. Now and forevermore the same. Yours is the kingdom. Now, did I give the same kind of push to yours is the kingdom as you have no power? Yes, I did. But the picture in my head is different. That movie is moving. You have no equal. It's like all of a sudden somebody cleared the board of anybody who could compete with God. And we're like, dude, we're the only ones. Nobody can even compare. I am on the right team here. And then it's yours is the kingdom. Wow. Yours is the glory. Wow. I just thank you for picking me on your team. Yours is the name above all names. And for me as a singer, I would want to hang on to names for about 16 bars right there because I wouldn't want to let go of saying, just let me say it. Yours is the name above all names. Or hold it out and wait for a little rhythm action. I don't know. I hear things in my head. Okay. Now, look, if I'm with a band that can't slow anything down and pick it back up to tempo, that's not an option, right? There is no reason that I can't still tell the story the way that my story goes through these words. And there's no excuse for you not to sing your personal story through your songs. Now, I've given you an example vocally of how we build and create interest throughout a story in hopefully a personal way that you kind of get where I'm going behind it. If you're a musician, this really applies to you too. And musician singers, all the more important because you've got to do two at once. I'm not a musician as far as I don't play an instrument by choice. I excel in the voice, and that's where I put all my attention. And you know, a long time ago, I used to say, I'm just a singer. I kind of played into that. Oh, I'm just the singer. Oh, I'm the singer. I'm the chick singer. You know, the joke of the week about the chick singer, right? But I realized through the years, I have got a benefit. I get to put all of my attention on my voice and how I deliver the story. Because when we play an instrument, and I have played instruments before, but when we play and try to sing at the same time, you have to multitask. So by the way, if you do play an instrument and sing, whichever one is your stronger suit, get super good at it, because then you can allow a little bit more of your attention to make the other a little bit better. And take some time where you're not playing an instrument and you just sing, because there is an entire whole unit of freedom that goes along with getting to use all your attention to put just into that story. It's a beautiful thing. But in music, let's say you don't sing at all. No problem with that. Let's say you're the drummer, right? Well, there are beautiful ways that we do this in production, and I've worked as an audio producer, so that's kind of where my brain goes there. But we do this in music by we layer instruments. If you listen to any recording, they'll start, especially like if you take a power ballad or a ballad or something like that. Jack and Diane even starts this way. It's just a little ditty, right? It's really simple. It's got a guitar. Sometimes it starts a little keyboard and a little cymbal, whatever, but it builds, and then all of a sudden there's strings behind it, and then all of a sudden, there's an electric guitar come in and a big bass line. Listen to how music builds, and that gives you an idea. When you've got a story that has to be told by a singer that wasn't writing the story, which generally is the way music is done and has been done for a long time now. Writers collaborate, write, arrange, and then the singer, they'll match it to the singer. The singer will bring their own story to it, and then the producer will say what's missing. What do we need to do to get the music connoisseurs, which you are, to not kick this one out? So think of all of those professionals doing all that work just so you won't reject a song. You know so much more than you give yourself credit for. Musicians, songs build by building instrumentation. Also by, you could be a bass player. You could be in a team where nobody wants to play anything differently, and they're still playing every song too slow, and it's all in the same key, and it might be driving you crazy. Jesus will help you. He helps everything, and he really does care. But when you get to that part of the song, you build your instrument. Maybe the bass has a little extra rhythm in it, and maybe it's just a cool lick comes out of someplace because of passion behind it. You speak your story through the notes of that instrument just as much as a singer does. Now, I want to give you a couple techniques. So some tech advice on how you can use that microphone to make your passion even greater. Some people are still building their vocal power, they're building their vocal range, or doing all the things that you need to do. And if you're not sure how to do that, that's what we do at the Voice Club. We help you out with that kind of stuff. So let us help you. But we're all growing, right? We should be trying to grow our unique voice that God went to all that trouble giving us. But we should also use the tech that we have. We have microphones, right? So when you want to bring power to something, there's a lot of things that you can do. Let's take What a Beautiful Name It Is, What a Beautiful Name It Is, the name of Jesus Christ, my King. Now I can sing that really nice and flowy, right? And that brings that softness, that kind of lilt to it. You playing an instrument, same thing. It's just playing and not letting go of the pedal. As a singer, you can take that from when you get to the bridge, we want to bring more impact to it. Chop it up and punch it down. You have no equal. Because if I sing it like, you have no equal, la, da, 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 it's fine too. It has a lilt to it. But whenever you feel like your story kind of requires a little slap in the face, and it should sometimes, you have no equal, you have no something, I'm singing in the wrong order, right? So punch it up. The other thing you do is when you're singing soft, use that mic. I should get a mic. Oh wait, here's one. Looks a little different, little weird, but let's pretend it's the lollipop mic with a stick on it, okay? Which is a typical live vocal mic. You don't need to know that. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so if I'm gonna sing, what a beautiful name it is. Let's say we go up a key, we have a key change, because I like them. And then you decide to get really soft and really prayerful. That's just where it leads you, right? What a beautiful name it is. I'm gonna pull my mic in, because that's going to catch all of we always want our singers to sing breathy. Breathy is bad for the vocal cords. Watch the other videos. But what we really want, what worship leaders really want, is that airy quality, which, by the way, only comes into recordings because they put the effect in there that changes the frequency of the voice that brings that out. You cannot compete with the breathy sound in a recording. So let yourself off that hook. The vast majority, most people don't understand that. Just The information is just not out there. But here's how you make your worship leader who wants you to sound breathy and airy. This is how you make them as happy as you possibly can. When we take the mic, it should brush. When you're singing, it should brush the bottom of your lip. Unless you're singing full power, it really should be close to here. So let's say I want to do the intimate breathy part. This is where my story is telling me to go, right? I'm going to make sure that even if I'm closing my eyes every once in a while, as my head moves, I can feel that my lip every once in a while is touching the bottom of that mic. And then we don't want to sing directly down into the mic because this will pick up some harsh frequencies. Sometimes it'll lead to feedback. That's not as common, but really it'll bring out some harsh frequencies. What we want in airy breathy is we're trying to catch certain frequencies that exist much more readily in the female voice that give that whole airy sense. What we're trying to catch is frequencies. How do we catch it? We've got to be close to the mic so the mic can enhance them. And then if you think if the middle of the mic is the most sensitive part, which it is, the little recording part is the little element, not in this one, but in a lollipop mic, is in the middle. We want to be very close so that it can pick up and enhance those frequencies, but we don't want to be shooting sound down into it. We want to be shooting just, if you look at right over the edge of it, over the horizon of the mic. So this lets you know it's close enough. And shooting the sound over the edge of it will actually enhance those frequencies in your voice, much so for females than males, but males, it will bring up the high frequencies in your voice too. It just allows the microphone to capture those frequencies. And if you just do this simple thing of just bringing the volume down, singing soft is not the same as singing breathy. What a beautiful name it is. There's a reason if you run out of breath, you're singing wrong. Watch the other videos, okay? But if I want to get soft and bring the volume down and I want it to sound beautiful and airy and breathy and all those words we throw around worship now, what a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. And there are some styling tricks that we do professionally that enhance those frequencies. Did you know that? Yeah. And when you hear singers that you like, and you're like, oh, I love their voice. Oh, I love that voice. Did you know that a lot of them don't know that they're doing it, but they're literally modeling the voice to enhance certain frequencies. And that's what gives them that sound. And you can learn to do that too. Just saying, you didn't know before. If I had spent my whole life as a professional singer and people told me just go do it, and I had to figure out how because they were paying me to do it and I didn't want to look like the dumb girl, I wouldn't have known either. So don't give yourself a hard time. You can learn, you can figure it out, you can make it happen. You've got to know what to do that doesn't hurt your voice and what to do to accentuate what God gave you. Unfortunately, we just don't approach vocal training that way, which is why I do what I do, because I've gone through some pretty crazy things. Okay, I hope that helps you. The two tools that I want you to use are tell the story, not the song. The second tool is the rule of repeats. If it repeats, it's got to go somewhere. Now, at the end of all of this, the most important part of this is, do you have a story to tell? When you hear a worship song and you say, what does that make me think of in my walk with God? What does that remind me of the people I know? Maybe your church has been praying for missionaries and you've been looking at what God's been doing in another part of the world. What does it make you think of? Because that story changes sometimes every day. And the story doesn't have to change every week, but my goodness, for 18 weeks, if all I thought about was how crazy great it was that God made heaven for me and still let me in, that would be good enough for me to tell that story over and over and over. When the band is going too slow and I'm like, ugh. First of all, make a mental note. Be a part of that solution. If you find the songs are boring to you, they're probably boring to your congregation. If you are on a worship team, you have been given the authority by somebody to have a say-so. They may not know they've given you that authority, but let me tell you this. If somebody you think knows more than you, they have a music degree, or they may know this person or that person, they've studied this or that. I just want you to know, when God made their vocal cords, he did nothing different than when he made yours. When God made their brain, he did nothing better or different than he did when he made yours. And you, my friend, are a music connoisseur. If it bores you, it bores them. So if you're on team and it's the morning of and sound check, that is not the time to say, this song is really getting boring. That's not the time. That is not helpful to anybody. But put yourself in that story. And what you do is that story that you're telling in that song, guess what? You get to make those pictures more vivid. You get to spend more time worshiping in that moment because you've just been given a gift of a little more time. So go ahead and enjoy that and make that an awesome sacrifice to give to God. And then make a mental note. When you go through your worship set, verse, chorus, verse, whatever, make some storyline notes. As you pray through the week, what is God reminding you of? What does God mean to you now, today? How has it changed from a year ago? What is going on in the world around you? What is going on in your family? What is going on when you're with your friends? What is going on that when you sing this line, it makes you think of that? Just write a little note. And then when you're rehearsing that song, you're learning your part, whatever, those are the pictures you put in your head. Because then when you sing that song, you will be telling your own personal testimony. And that's really how we reach people. They have to see that it's real for us. And they don't just need to hear us sing good notes. I'm just saying, it's better when we do, right? And we can make more beautiful noises to God. At the end of the day, they're all noises. But are our hearts really fixated on God? You can make that happen. Now, when you go through and you're making your notes, your story notes, all of that, go ahead this is when you're working through music on your own time. You remember, oh man, we've done this song so much. I'm getting so bored with this. And write a little note. Anybody else bored with this song? Bring it up at the week, the worship rehearsal during the week. I know we're doing this song this weekend, whatever, but I've got some ideas about how maybe we can make this song a little less boring. Anyone interested? If you're a worship leader, whether you have been a career worship leader, paid full-time and have a staff of full-time people, or you are a volunteer worship leader, I would really, really encourage you to bring this to life in your team. Regardless of the skill level you think people might have, everybody is a music connoisseur. They can hear things that the entire music industry makes decisions based on. In radio, we have this 10% rule. Whoever calls, they represent the 90% of people with the same opinion who won't take the time. So when someone in your team takes the time to try to make a helpful suggestion, you don't have to take it. That's your job. You get to decide that, right? But encourage that. And when they come up with something creative and they go off, this is just between me and the worship leaders right now. Sometimes, let's use singers as an example. Sometimes the singers will go off and they'll get really into a song and they'll go off and try a trill that goes horrifically wrong. And your gut says, please remind me to tell them never to ad-lib ever again. That's our first instinct. I would like to challenge you, though, not to tell them never to ad-lib or just hide my head in the sand. I'm not going to say anything. I'll just let somebody else complain. And then I'll say, well, someone said something, so I have to come to you. That's just the chicken way. Don't do that. But instead, go to them and encourage the fact that they were worshiping authentically. And say, I love that you are bringing your authentic story to this song. I love that. And I saw that you went someplace vocally and you were going to do this thing, and I could just see how that would be so cool. Your job as a worship leader, in case you hadn't noticed, is extremely busy and vocal trained. It's a completely different discipline, but your job as a worship leader is to encourage and say, I see your heart. I love that. I see that you're wanting to go some places. That would be really cool. That would be something that you could look into learning some more about, vocal styling and stuff. Research that. I can't tell you to look online because there's just so much junk. I'm sorry. Tell them to go to thevoiceclub.com. That's why I do what I do. I can't send anybody anywhere else. Don't take it upon yourself, because then you will just feel guilty, but encourage them. Say, we want your ideas and we love that you're working towards this. I would love to see what new ideas you have for excelling vocally and developing that thing that you'd like to do. So you let them know you like what they're doing. You don't have to say that they probably know if it didn't come off successfully. They more than likely know. So let's just not go there. But let them know you want them to develop that and that you would like to check in with them and see how that's going. You're going to be their booster support. So encourage your team to bring ideas. You decide based on the things you have to work within, what gets onto the team. But always encourage them to be bringing ideas, because there are way better ideas within that group of music connoisseurs and musicians than there will ever be in any worship staff meeting. I hope that's helpful for you. Tell your story and then make sure that when you repeat it, you got something new to say. You're a music connoisseur. Bring it to your church. Now get out there and sing the story, not the song.
Real quick, I wanted to let you know that in 2020, I'm planning some free training webinars just for you. It's going to be for beginning singers and all the way to gigging singers and those who want to be or are involved in choirs, all the way to worship leaders. Everything in between. We're going to cover it in 2020. I'm working on that, but because of the software limitations, I'm only going to have a very few number of people in each of these webinars. So if you'd like to get a heads up, if you'd like to cut to the front of the line and know when the dates are set, all you have to do is go to thevoiceclub.com/waitlist. All one word, waitlist. That will get you on the list. You will be the first to know when we establish dates for those free training webinars. And I have something very special I've been working on for you. When you join the waitlist at thevoiceclub.com/waitlist, you're going to get to download a 21-page ebook I wrote for you on the mix. It's not what you think, I promise. It's called The Mega Mix Meltdown, Why the Mix is Not the Fix. Curious? I hope so. You wouldn't believe how confusing we make this vocal education stuff. My mission is to simplify it for you, and I'm going to do that with Mix in that free ebook that you can download when you join our webinar waitlist for 2020. Again, it's thevoiceclub.com/waitlist. I'm looking forward to dispelling some more myths for you next time. But right now, get out there and sing.